I'm very pleased and honored to have actor, writer, producer, executive producer of the show, one of the stars of the show, plays Charlie Gully from the FWD, and that's Mr. Mike O'Malley, who joins us here on Busted Open. Mike, thank you so much for the time. It's truly an honor. It's truly a pleasure, and I wish it was under better circumstances, but thank you so much for joining us this
Well,
morning.
David, thank you so much. Good morning to you and Mickie James and everybody. It's we were bummed out when we found out that Heels was canceled on Stars, and because we work really hard on it. But this is what happens in show business. A lot of times. Thankfully, the writer strike has ended, so we can talk a little bit about it. And I just want to say thank you to all of your fans who supported the show, watched the show, and sent out support, for the show, because that's what we do in our business. We make programming. We tell stories because we want folks to share in those stories. And Heels was a show about taking a look behind the curtain at people who love wrestling and want to devote their life to it. And we want to examine some of the reasons that why people do it, but also to look at some of the costs and the rewards of those things. I think there's a lot of folks who love wrestling, obviously listen to your show every day. There's other folks who don't know why people love wrestling as much as they do. And this is common with many, many things, right? I mean, there's people who like, I don't know, clogging, barbershop music, bluegrass, and other people don't like it, rap music, and they're like, why should I be into that? Why are the people that I love into that thing so much? And that was one of the things behind Michael Waldron, who created the show. I was the showrunner for the show. But his mindset when he created the show was, how do I honor this thing that I love so much by telling stories about these people so that people understand the passion and the heart that goes into wrestling.
Mike, and maybe I overthink things a little bit, but I kind of want to get your feedback on this from being on that other side. When you have a season 2 of Heels, now season 1, 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, fans loved it, a lot of buzz. Season 2 comes out. It comes out during a very troubled time with everything that was going on with the strike. Comes out in the middle of the summer. Comes out in July. Comes out, the episodes premiere on a Friday, which is really the hottest night for wrestling when there's a lot of wrestling on a Friday night. Like, did you feel like with season 2 that it was almost impossible to succeed because there was such a high wall built already right off the gate?
I don't think it was impossible to succeed because I thought that we had made a great show. And I think that anyone who goes into this business of show business thinks, well, people are just looking for something great and word of mouth, and people will tell other people. And so I also think that when I was working on it and continuing to work on the post-production of it, that it becomes something where, the work, you're just so focused on the granularity of the work and making it great and specific, you can't really rely on how it is received. And I have been, as many people nowadays the popularity of Stoicism is becoming a little bit more, it's becoming more pronounced or popular again. And part of that is, I think, how do you emotionally respond to things that are not in your control? So I can only be in control of how I present the show, how I make the show. I can't be in control of how the show is received. And so that's a little bit I've learned. Obviously, I'm older, so I've learned that I have to kind of leave that out of my hands. It is, because you can be filled with constant despair about things that are beyond your control. What night did they program it? At what point in the summer? I mean, we finished making this show in July, shooting the show July 1st, 2022. It premiered July 28th, 2023. So we had already been 13 months from the time we finished and called cut, all the way up until when it premiered. But, this idea of, this is a big night for wrestling, and you're putting it, what they hoped was they were going to run, ads on, wrestling programming, and then those folks would come over and watch this show at that time. I'm not saying that was a bad strategy. Nowadays, of course, people watch whatever they want when they want to watch it. It's
right.
The only thing that you really could do is like, when some of these shows on HBO and you don't want to go to work the next day and have it spoiled for you, so you'd have to watch it that night, sort of like the old days when Sopranos was on. Sorry, my
Like how you said the old days when Soprano is that the old
I mean,
days?
that was 23, like 20, we're talking
Jeez.
like 2 decades ago.
That's
That's when
crazy to
Sopranos was
think.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, my
Okay.
house isn't about to take off. That's my parents' generator in the back, preventing them.
Oh, you just said,
ice
I was like
storms.
complimenting your amazing wallpaper, and you said you were at your mom's house.
Yes, I'm at my parents' house in New Hampshire.
Yes. Lovely.
Mike, what did you feel, or how did you feel like when you saw that, Cancel Stars was trending, when you saw that there was, people who cared and loved this show so much that you had that hashtag trending the day after the announcement that it was canceled?
Well, I'll be honest with you, David. I felt bad for the people at Stars because they were really great partners in this. And I don't want to, I know that it's going to sound like, this guy's just saying that, but let me dig into why I mean that. I've worked at Stars. This is the second show that I've had at Stars. I did a show for 4 years called Survivor's Remorse, which is a show that was executive produced by LeBron James. I created it, I ran the show, and I loved it because I loved how much the folks at Stars care about programming. What do I mean by that? Well, at Stars, there's no credits over picture. So, when you're watching a sitcom and they're into 10 minutes into the sitcom and they're still written by consulting producer, this and that, the other thing, you're distracted. I'm distracted when I see credits and I'm trying to listen to jokes and I'm trying to follow a story. Stars is a place just, they love filmmaking and they love films, and they're very, this idea that in Game of Thrones, there was a coffee cup that somebody forgot on the bar that happened a couple of years ago. That would never happen at Stars, because every time you go to what's called a playback, before they lock the picture on the final things, they have everybody looking at every single frame to make sure that it's, perfect and it looks great. And so the creative experience at Stars was unbelievable. I mean, the executives really support writers. They give you so few notes. You're able, David, you've watched Heels. There's a lot of stuff. You think like, how did they let that character say that Wild Bill says, that, that other characters say? That's because they support the writer's vision, and they don't give you a lot of notes and say, well, somebody's going to be upset about that. They want to make premium, daring television, and they did, and they gave it a home. And so when I see something like Cancel Stars, it would be like, cancel the Roxy because your indie band didn't, do well. They didn't ask you back. I mean, you can't really cancel venues because people don't show up for the programming. And I think part of the challenge is that all of these platforms, we all have them, right? The different platforms that we watch our programming on. And it used to be that we'd sit down on our TV and we just flip through the channels. We can't do that anymore. We've got to go to this platform. We've got to leave that platform. We've got to go to this thing to watch this show, this, that, it's a little bit more complicated. All that being said, what they're trying to do is they're trying to compete with one another and bring in audiences to grow their subscriber base. And so they looked at how popular wrestling was. They looked at a world that no one was doing a narrative television show about, an hour-long drama. And they thought, if we do a quality show about this, those people who love wrestling at first will come and be this initial audience that then we can grow from. And so what happened? people who love wrestling and had the platform and knew what it was about. They watched it, they loved the show, but we weren't, like I said, you were talking about, we weren't able to promote the second season for good reasons, because as writers and actors, we're on strike. And so we weren't able to do that. So we've got to stand together as a union and not talk about how this is affecting, necessarily our show. But then going back, so I love those people there, and I want that platform and that service to succeed for all the people that I know and care and have those jobs. I'm not for anybody losing their job, and I'm not for any outlet, even though it didn't work necessarily for heels. It doesn't mean that I'm not in support of other creative artists going there and selling a show. I understand the frustration, because what happens is when you make a television show is that you want people invested in the characters and the story and the situation. And then what happens is that people hand over their emotional, they sit there and they watch these shows and they engage in the stories and they become emotionally attached to the fictional characters because there's something that they're connecting with in the storytelling. Well, all of a sudden, if you rob people of that, they're going to have an emotional reaction to that.
Especially the way season 2 ended, Mike. And I'm on the fence about, at this point, not even talking about it because Starz has pulled the show off the service completely. So I said to our audience, watch it. Go and watch it, because maybe if enough people go and watch season 1 and season 2, it will grab people's attention. But then they pulled it off the service completely. So now people can't even go and watch what I thought was a fantastic show.
Why did they do that?
I'm not sure why. So again,
It's your fault, David.
the contact between the studio and the network and the creative folks behind it has been so minimal because of the restrictions of the strike, and the Screen Actors Guild is still on strike. And so, that's why and it's one of the reasons I wanted to come on the show, because there's a lot of folks tweeting at and sending messages to the cast, to Stephen Amell, to Alexander Ludwig. They can't engage with the fans because Screen Actors Guild is still on strike. I'm in the Screen Actors Guild. I started as an actor. I'm still on strike, so I can't even talk about any of my other projects that I'd love to talk to you about. But we are just in this. But I wanted to come on and say to the fans that, there is this connection that we felt, that we knew we had fans out there. And then when we find out that because of this show, there is a trending topic that is related to our show, that felt good to us. Not because, like I said, we don't want anyone to cancel a platform. We just want people to save heels, and we want it to go on someplace else. So if there is an opportunity for heels to go on in the future at on another platform, and if anything, we would just want that sort of support, that we want that support, hashtag save heels.
Well, it might be a blessing, like you said, like that they pulled it off, because now, say strikes over or whatever, the possibility of not only move, because this happens to shows, right? Like they can move to a different platform, but relaunch with season 3, hopefully, but then they can carry all of that with them, maybe
100%.
over, just like when we saw Cobra Kai. You were talking about that, David, when Cobra Kai switched from YouTube to Netflix, like that was a big deal.
Yes.
And they were able to take season 1 and season 2 with them,
yes. And my agent and the folks at CAA represent, the folks at Cobra Kai. So they do this, this is one of the things that they do. And I think that everyone who is involved with heels wants to see that show go on, wants these characters to go on. And it's such a rich world. What I love about the show is that people who didn't know anything about wrestling now understand it a little bit more. And they said that they now are watching and are invested in wrestling in a different way because of the show, which is ideally what we want. I do think that there's aspects of why this show for instance, my wife, who loves the show, she's not really into combat sports. And the poster that we had the first season had the two guys in the ring, with their shirts off. And so unless you have, I'm sure there's people who are like, hey, I want to go watch a show, two guys with their shirts off. I'm interested in this. There's other people who see the ring and they just think combat sports, not interested, because it didn't say on the poster that it was about wrestling. It didn't say what the subject matter was about. It was just, showing, as oftentimes happens in Hollywood, attractive people doing something. Is this something that looks interesting? It looks dramatic. We didn't think, one of the things that we love about the show is that it's serious and dramatic about the pursuit that these characters have. It doesn't make fun of them.
Right. Right.
And I think that's important. A couple of things, Mike. And listen, I don't need, you don't have to respond to this, but it's just my feelings as a fan of the show and as a host here on Busted Open. I ranted and raved the next day, and I threw out that hashtag cancel stars.
Yes.
And I loved your answer about not wanting to see, people cancel. Mike, they made the decision to cancel this show. All right, here's the deal. And you're a sports guy, you know this. If you have a quarterback that all right, is underperforming, but the talent is there, if you cultivate it, if you give them the right coach, that one day that quarterback is going to be a star. The first season of Heels did very well as far as I know. Again, 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, a lot of buzz, a lot of momentum. You had a long delay before coming out with season 2. You throw season 2 out there in the middle of the summer during a strike. So the show is not promoted. Mike, I'm sure we would have had everybody on Busted Open. We would have done a Heels recap here on Busted Open. And I'm sure other shows would have done the same thing. That didn't happen because of the strike. Well, then let's see what season 3 could do. If you're up against it and that you can't promote the show the way that you would want to because of the circumstances, why pull the plug? Don't pull the plug. Give it another opportunity. Give it another chance. It outperformed you in season 1. Season 2 obviously was a disappointment when it came to viewership. Of course it was, because you couldn't promote the thing. So I do blame Stars. Because to me, they should have at the very least, gave it another season and gave it another opportunity. And then they doubled down by pulling the entire series off their streaming service. So now you're not even giving people, the people who are upset and the word of mouth that was created because of the hashtag, you're not even giving those people an opportunity and a chance to see an amazing TV show. So, to your point, Mike, please use the hashtag Save Stars. Let's make a positive one. Save Stars.
Heels. Save Heels. Save Heels.
No, fuck Stars. Fuck Stars. Hashtag Save Heels. Now I'm all upset. Now you got me upset. We'll do it.
David,
Save Heels.
David, I love this, right? I understand this. This is a part of what we were going after in the show. And the way that people love and hate certain wrestlers and root for certain wrestlers, I understand this. Look, I'm a Boston Red Sox fan. I grew up, they were losing all the time. Now they're winning. Same thing with the Patriots. I understand that people, they get emotionally involved with the things that they're rooting for. And that what these franchises, you see what happens anytime that happens somebody burns the jersey of a guy that gets traded, or a guy who signs, less somebody gets traded. Somebody who's a popular athlete on a team and they sign a free agent contract with another team. And then all of a sudden people are burning their jerseys and then people are saying, oh, those fans, they're just crazy. Well, you sold them on, you're basically selling them and marketing and advertising for them to be passionately involved, to spend their hard-earned money on your sport, on supporting your sport, buy your jersey, spend their mornings and nights and afternoons reading and consuming media about this team and this player, that again, it's just a professional sport. And then when people react emotionally because they're upset about something, people are like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? Well, that's foolish and that's stupid from people who, so I think that, obviously networks and platforms understand the emotional reaction that people have when they cancel something that they're invested in. But at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. It's if you own a restaurant and you get a great review in the local paper and you make the greatest turkey club in the history of that town and that state, and people don't come in to buy the turkey club, you don't get to make the turkey club anymore. And everybody in your family and everybody says, this is America, right? All across America, people have put their time and effort and money into something, and their family and their friends support it, and then people don't, and the wider world doesn't support it. They're like, that's so sad. This is just happening on a grander scale to us and the people involved with the show, that is happening, to every single person and every single family member out there. You know what I mean? It's tough.
But Mike, it is, and it's an issue right now. But I'm going to throw out a couple of facts. Two of maybe the greatest sitcoms of all time, MASH and Cheers, they didn't garner an audience until their third or fourth season. The first couple of seasons for both those shows were a complete disaster. I think Cheers was the lowest rated show on all of television its first season. But they knew they had a hit on their hands. They knew this was a special show, just like Heels is a special show, and they gave it its time. Like you talk about the Turkey Club. Yeah, the Turkey Club. Hey, this is the best Turkey Club, and our family loves the Turkey Club, but nobody's coming to buy this Turkey Club. Well, why aren't people buying the Turkey Club? Well, but you know what? Maybe we didn't promote the Turkey Club sandwich the right way. Maybe we need to do better advertising.
We need a coupon for the Turkey Club.
Maybe these stupid walking, talking zombies that flood the Stars hallways, that walk around, that don't know what the fuck they're doing. Maybe they can look at season 2 and say, all right, there was a strike going on. We couldn't promote this show. We debuted it 13 months after we finished filming and had the fans wait. And if you have fans wait too long, sometimes they stray. You do it in the middle of summer, but you couldn't promote the show. So imagine, Mike, if there was a season 3 and you were able to promote it the right way, what a hit. I guarantee you.
Especially because I saw
there was a season 3, it would be a hit.
Yeah, I saw AJ Lee had debuted. I was like, oh, that's exciting because nobody's seen her on television in a very long time. And there's so many wrestling stars that were a part of it too. It was like really interesting. I was kind of shocked when it got canceled, but I'm excited, Mike, because I do feel like as we come out of the other side, 2024, come out of the other side of this strike, hopefully it's over soon and everything else. I think that we don't always see it straight away, but it could be a blessing in disguise because like you said, it didn't get the eyeballs that it should have gotten because you couldn't talk about it, couldn't promote it, couldn't do any of that. So I feel like it was like a hidden gem, and people that were locked into it and were already, committed to it, they were paying attention, but that was it. There weren't a lot of people unless you knew about it and you were in the know about it. So hopefully when it comes out, then you guys can, I don't know, go to Prime, go to Netflix, go to Hulu, whatever, or somewhere like that. And then with a season 3 and come back even stronger. And people who haven't seen it yet because it was on a Starz platform or whatever else, now everybody will get to see it and fall in love with it and the character.
Well, I appreciate that, David. Your passion
He's great.
Is, I get goosebumps from passion like that because it's what look when we were making the show, here's the other thing. We were paid to make this show, right? We were paid. The actors were paid, the writers were paid, all the designers were paid, everyone was paid. And it's reminded me how the work that you do, it has to be your reward. It does. And it's a crazy thing in show business, especially in television and film. It's like if the expectation is that in some future date, the reception of the work is going to give you your main meaning, you're playing a dangerous game because you're distracting yourself. Like when you guys do your show, you're doing your show, try to put together a great show. You love it when you hear from fans after the show. People come up to you. I love listening to Bustin' Open. It's awesome. It's my favorite. That feels good, right? But you're waking up every day trying to put together a great show. And so we still think, and you guys are helping us. I want to say this to you right now. You're helping us by getting the word out about this show, because we do think that it can have, a third and a fourth and a fifth season. But what has to happen is people have to raise their hand and say, I'm interested. Anything that you do that's creative, if in this marketplace, there's no more, the funnel for that information to come to you has changed, right? We're old enough to remember what it was like when, all records came out on a Tuesday, and then they'd play the new songs, and then everyone, unless you bought the record, you'd hear the new songs on the radio at the time, and you all sort of knew what the song. There was a monoculture. That thing has completely been obliterated. You don't know about Heels if you're watching on a platform unless the algorithm has sent it to you. Otherwise, somebody has to give you word of mouth. But how many people go to you at whatever party? What are you watching? Well, I'm watching this, I'm watching that, I'm watching this, I'm watching that. My wife and I, we've got 3 kids. We've started 8 shows we haven't finished yet, right? Quality shows. I'm still trying to get through The Crown. I can't believe how much money they spend on The Crown. Have you seen the show, The Crown? It's unbelievable. Every episode's got to be like $14 million.
Yeah.
And so the quality of programming is great. It's raised the bar. But what we all feel passionately about right here is wrestling. And I want the thing about wrestling is it's very hard for there to become new adult fans of wrestling, right? Because people get invested in it when they're younger initially, and then they continue to be, as it evolves to them, as the story evolves for them, they become even more enamored with how a great match, how a great, promotion, how it evolves and what goes into it, the creativity and the execution and the live execution of this stuff is unbelievable. But for everybody who's forsaken wrestling and thought, that's not for me, how do we get that? How do we get other people, a massive quantity of people, to understand and respect this art form? Part of it is having a show about it. That's what we're trying to do.
Well, all right. So I'm gonna change it just a little bit, Mike, because first of all, thank you again for the time. We'll use the hashtag Save Heels.
Yeah.
We'll use it. Will be a positive one. I'm gonna use that one because Stars is out of it's ridiculous and a waste of time to be angry at Stars. That ship has sailed. It's over. It's in the past. Let's look at the future. So I ask everybody that's listening to this interview right now, use the hashtag Save Heels, because now we got to look at the future. Now we got to look at a season 3. It's not going to be with Stars. Fuck them. They're done. The show's
hashtag
too good for
Save
you.
Heels.
Show's too good for you. We're going to find a new home for this show. We're going to find a bigger home, a new home, a home that's going to appreciate this quality show. And that's what our goal is going to be here. And that is
I don't even know how that works. Like, if a network was to cancel a show, would they still be in the option to pick it back up when they decided, like when they say strike's over? Would Stars be?
They wouldn't. Because I know. Listen, you guys people have become very alert to you over at, the Stars Network and alert to this program and the
because
hashtag.
of David.
Well, and again, I want to say this, right? It's like, I know how hard they worked. They did buy this show. They did invest like hundreds of millions of dollars into this show.
Yeah.
And it's like that movie Big Night. If you've never seen it, you should watch it. But it's about these brothers who have this restaurant. And they're expecting this really important and influential food critic to come, and then he doesn't. And it's just like, So it's like they put everything they could into this thing, and then the influencers didn't show up, so it couldn't be influenced. And it's part of this is the nature of how people watch programming. David, you talk about how over the weekend they, essentially vaporized the show from the platform. That probably has something to do with accounting, right? And so in failure, a show can be, written off in an accounting way. I don't know. They haven't given me the details of that. But the thing about this now, it going forward is we still have more stories to tell. And we want to show that there's another platform out there that hopefully will be able to, even if we didn't tell more stories, it would be about people being able to view what these 16 episodes that we've already done, could do.
Yeah.
And so I think that, that's the thing is everybody's disappointed who's been involved with Heels, but this has been a real light for us because out of the blue, you just start talking about this because it mattered to you. And we're really grateful because I think that it's putting a little bit of, wind at our sails. So thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to use that hashtag Save Heels. I hope that this amazing, incredible show that you're a part of and such a big part of finds a home. I still think Gully is the true babyface of Heels. I mean, I don't know, Jack Spade, man, my God, what a frustrating human being. So Gully is the true babyface of Heels. So I want to see how that continues in season 3. So
let me tell you something. If we're lucky enough, if I'm lucky enough to write Gully season 3, then you're gonna have to play yourself, but he'll be coming on this show. But it'll probably be because I am like attacking you outside of a Trader Joe's and saying, just let me be on. There's so much we could talk about. Come on, man. This is like, I know there's all these people that you have on. They're terrible. They're terrible. Watch what I could do. I'd say this. And you're like, dude, I'm just trying to get my maple sugar cookies right now. Please leave me alone.
My pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah.
I would make Mickie, I would say I would have Gully as a co-host on this show. That's how much I love Gully would be a co-host on Busted Open. He would have his own day to talk about
I would love
FWD.
it so much. I would love it. I'd love it.
Mike, thank you so much. Love the work. I hope there's a season 3. We'll get that trend going.
There will be.
There will be a season 3. We have to find out how this story ends. I want the continued story of Ace, of Jack, of Gully. I mean, it's important to me, and I know it's important to a lot of people. So, Mike, thank you for your work, and thanks for taking the time to come on with us.
Well, I want to thank you, David, because it's in a week of news that was very disappointing. You gave us a real lift, and I want to say this to the listeners out there, the people who love wrestling and are interested in wrestling. It's what I love about this show, Heels, is that it talks about the creative process and guys who don't look like they'd be creative or have any interest in any artistic or written expression or physical expression, down in the South, that people often dismiss as having any creative ideas or caring about other people. And we wanted to really honor the fact that, wrestling, like anything creative, right? Storytelling. It's about people connecting and being in a place and sharing something that's fun, it's wonderful, and it's communal, and it's inspiring. And what you've done with this show and your platform is you've allowed us to express that a little bit and taken some time to just say, hey, we're rooting for those guys and gals down there who are trying to make something that's really special. And you don't have to do that. And I just want to say thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mike. And I mean, that means a lot to me. I appreciate that. And I hope we you know what? I know we're going to have you on this show again, and we're going to be doing recaps of every episode of season 3 of Heels.
I hope
Yeah.
so, and I hope when the writer's strike is over, we'll be able to the Screen Actors Guild strike is over. I'll be able to come on and talk about everything, including my background on Nickelodeon Guts. All right.
All right, you got it, Mike.
All
Thank
right.
you so
Thanks,
much,
David.
brother.
Really
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Thank you
man.
so
All right.
much.
See you. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you.
All right. Who is going to win the battle next week? And you said NXT, correct?
I mean, obviously we don't know what the card for AEW is going to be. Do we know what that card for next Tuesday is going to be? No, because they haven't, tonight is Dynamite, right? So we're not going to know that till next week, but they're going to have to come up with like a pretty heavy-hitting card, I think.
Yeah, I think already they're starting, and we'll gather some of the information. I think they're
We'll
already
get
starting
that
to tease
info.
some things
Yeah.
for next week. But they have a show tonight. So I know that I believe Edge, we're going to hear from Edge tonight on Dynamite, and I believe he has a match with Luchasaurus next week. So Edge will have his first AEW match next Tuesday going head-to-head with NXT. So that's interesting.
Oh, against Luchasaurus.
Yes.
Okay. I'm excited for Edge. I'm excited for Adam. I always wish my friends all the happiness and all the things. And I think there was like a whole, what I think too is like there was like a weird thing about that because Edge did the whole I'm free, like during the press conferences. And you know how I feel about the press conferences. I'm always like, I don't feel like a whole lot of good comes out of the press conferences because there's always like these things that get pulled that are irrelevant to what the press conference is actually for or about. And that becomes the headline, but that's a whole nother thing. But I'm excited for him. I'm excited for him and Jay to be back together and like this. And although it's like they're feuding straight out of the gate, so it's like, oh, it's going to be interesting.
Were you surprised that after 2.5 decades that Edge jumped to AEW?
I'm not surprised. I was actually talking to Nick about it, and it's really interesting how the landscape is shifting. I go, is it, when I think about like the money Adam was probably making with WWE, he's probably making great money. I don't know what his details, but I'm sure I know that he probably had a lot of like input and say in what he was doing and stuff. So, when I think about the money aspect of it, I'm going like, okay, so that money had to either match or exceed what he was already making with WWE. But however, you think about the trade-off, they got Adam, and they've gotten like some of the stars of WWE, obviously, but then WWE ended up getting Jade, who is going to make a mint and going to make the company a mint. And she's, so they got, Jade, I think Brian Pillman just got signed. Yep. Or he's in, so then these are stars that they're going to make and create, and they're getting them, I would say Jade is a star. Jade is already a star. Like, obviously the system's just going to elevate her and she's going to be a whole new level, right? Like she's going to be a household name. She's going to be a household name. For sure. And I hope good for Brian Pillman. And I'm thinking about other people that are maybe contracts are coming up and stuff. But like, so the shift that I'm saying is like WWE tends to be getting a lot of AEW's younger stars that perhaps they couldn't necessarily make the star to the star level that they desired to be, whether it be the stars or the company. But then AEW is getting established stars from WWE, but they're going to have to pay for it because they're going to have to match or exceed the contract. So then there's like this weird balance shift, right? Like that's happening. It's really, really interesting. It's interesting to me, the dynamics. But what's exciting about it is, between AEW, between WWE, between Impact, and then there's other, obviously New Japan, there's AAA, the options are endless for talent out there of like where you want to go and be and do. And, I can sympathize or I can understand when Adam goes, oh, the freedom, because I have so much freedom at Impact. And that's a reason why I stay and I love is because of the freedom. I'm so bit like, like your life changes and your priorities obviously change when you have children, and it's hard to stay on like WWE schedule, because it's a very demanding schedule, right? Like, and I'm sure that the AEW schedule is demanding, but I don't feel like it's as demanding as WWE schedule. So it's like that schedule, AEW schedule, Impact schedule, they're all kind of demanding, and obviously your real life is demanding. So it's like what level and what freedom you're going to get, because everybody, especially at this stage, and I'm sure Adam is feeling the same way with Beth and the kids, is like they want to be able to be family more often than they are on TV, you know, but that you don't want to give up. You love wrestling. You obviously still want to do it and do it to the capacity, but not a full demanding full-time kind of thing, you know? So I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
And plus it's matches and different police and your friends are over, you know what I mean? You just kind of want it. Maybe sometimes you just need a little change.
you were part of that WWE machine for a long time. Is it hard to separate from that? Because
Yes.
it is.
I think, well, you know, I think both times when I left, I couldn't even watch for a while because um it was painful, you know, because that's your friends, that's your family. You feel like this disconnect, or you feel like you got kicked out of the house, you know? And so but there's always this love. Like I always have my love and my respect and loyalties to WWE because I feel like they helped create me, you know, they helped build me and create me. And so I think that there is that, but it's just really hard to separate work, especially when your relationship is like Adam and Beth, they are both in the business, or they were part of the business. It's a blessing because you understand, you're a bit more understanding. I wonder how a lot of husbands and wives and the other person is not in the business. And if they're not traveling on the road with them full time and you're trying to adhere to this, that's got to be, because it's like you're a person who's a civ, if you will, a normal person, and you're not accustomed to that lifestyle, and you don't understand, oh, my partner is on the road 200 plus days a year, you know, they're home Tuesday and Wednesday. That's about it, you know? And it's just like, and then you're pretty much feeling like a single parent a lot of times, like, cause you're raising the kids, you're doing all the things. It's a struggle, you know, and you see that a lot in the relationships throughout the business on any company. You know, I think it's so I commend anyone who can work it through and figure it out and do all that. But yeah, I mean, because it's a priority, you know, it's your livelihood, it's your job, it's your life. So it's hard to
It,
separate the two.
there's a few things from what you just said, Mickie, because what you just said was awesome in a lot of different ways. Like you talk about, and we've talked about the freedom and the fun and the creativity and the schedule of it all. It does seem weird to me that AEW, which is geared towards a younger audience, does have Edge, who's a veteran and is already a WWE Hall of Famer, Matt and Jeff Hardy, who are veterans, and Christian, who's a veteran, and
Chris
you look
Jericho,
at Chris
Sting.
Jericho as a veteran, Sting, and then you look at the WWE for the longest time, and I've said on this show, was relying too much on the veterans and too much of the legends of the past. WWE is really over the course of, I'm going to just say 2 years, has gotten considerably younger and has put more of a spotlight on their younger talent. Because to your point before, even about Jade, there's a chance coming out of WrestleMania 40 that Cody Rhodes is a world champion, and who knows, maybe Jade could be a world champion. Two wrestlers that were just a part of AEW now coming to the WWE, but the perception of both of them, Jade already, before even step into the ring, is already perceived as a major superstar. It's pretty interesting when you think about it.
Yeah. I want to know who her publicist is. I need to talk to them.
There you go. They
No,
did a
that's
great job.
it's been
True.
great. It's I think too, for me, when I look back and I look at how Jade they've addressed the Jade situation of her announcement and stuff, how amazing is it as a woman, as a woman, to be seen for the announcement on ESPN and for these, not just, I love wrestling.com putting out these announcements, but big outlets that are talking about her signing. They've made a really big deal out of it. They've made it a really big mainstream type of deal. And
Yeah.
to break into mainstream, I think that's where wrestling has really been trying to do for a very long time. I feel like WWE has tried to do that. You know, we've got stars in movies, we got stars doing cameos on television and TV shows, we've got stars doing commercials and stuff like that. So I think to break into that mainstream general audience, which is the audience that I always say, like, we need to get those people back. That's who we've lost, which is why the numbers, they talk about numbers. I feel like that's the numbers that you're talking about are those casual fans. The other fans that are always there, those 800,000 or whoever it is, they watch everything. They're always going to watch everything. They're wrestling fans, right? Those fans, when we were hitting millions, 2 millions, those were the casual fans that were just tuning in because it was fun to watch and it was something they could watch with the whole family. Those are the people that we need back if we really want to get those numbers kind of back to where they were. And so I think when you can break mainstream media, that's a big step into, you know, that path to come back to like bringing in a lot of the general pop, you know.
Now, you mentioned numbers and you mentioned AEW and NXT next week on a Tuesday. You were very clear. You feel like with AEW and NXT going head to head next Tuesday, that NXT will win that night. Mickie, I'm in total agreement with you. I would be.
So we can't make a friendly wager.
No, because
can't do next week's show with no pants on.
Well, I mean, listen, Tommy.
You already...
I already do the show with no pants on. Tommy just texted me. He said the true winners are the fans. Mm-hmm. So, you know, he's going.
Of course he did.
Yes. But I think it's going to be NXT because, first of all, and Paul, our producer, actually said this during the break, they have the home field advantage. It's on Tuesday night. But
right.
Also with it stacked as much as it is, I would actually be surprised if NXT doesn't win the night next Tuesday.
Yeah. It's stacked. It's definitely stacked. I mean, I would be surprised too. I'm sure that everybody, as we do, will be flipping back and forth, and there's going to be, you know, segments that are higher rated or however they do those. But they've done a good job of stacking this NXT card. So what I'm really going to be interested about is how they're going to stack this AEW card to even compete with these heavy hitters that they're bringing in. You know, it's going to be interesting.